friends, my name's Naomi. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have a fun video. I have been wanting to do this little video where I react to a video that I filmed last year, which was the 22 books that I want to read in 2022. I haven't watched it in a really long time. I usually watch my videos right as I post them, and I honestly have not watched that one since last year. So I genuinely cannot remember which books I said I was going to read in the year 2022. So obviously this list is 22 books. I should have probably kept a list to check off during the year. I have like a document on my Google Drive where I do all of my TBRs, and sometimes I plan my TBRs for videos or just books that I want to read in certain seasons. So I probably should have kept an ongoing list on that doc for these books, because otherwise I genuinely can't remember what I said that I wanted to read this year. So I'm gonna be watching this video now and seeing if I read any of the books that I said I would in the year 2022. It is currently November 21st, so my plan is to potentially read some of these books in December. But I don't know how many books I've read in this list. I can't promise that I'm gonna read all of the books that I didn't read from this video, because to be quite honest, I would only have like 2 weeks in December, because the last 2 weeks of December I will be traveling. So I don't know how much reading I'll get done in my travels, but let's just get started. I'm gonna put the little video here on the screen. I'm gonna be screen recording on my phone. Hopefully this works out. All right, let's start the screen recording in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So here's the intro for the video. Let me put this volume down.
Welcome back to my channel.
This is just the intro. I'm gonna skip at that.
I like.
Oh no, I already got a little preview of the first book on this list, and oh no, hate that for us. Hold on.
Some of these I have no idea what they're about. I just know like the hype or stuff around it. So I will talk about them. The first book I have on my list, I've actually been told not to read it several times.
I know what it is.
And you'll know when I put it up on the screen, and that is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, and this was gifted to me by Kristen.
I don't want to be depressed while I'm traveling, so I don't think I'll read this in December, but I forgot that this was on this list, and it's so obvious because I've been wanting to read this for the longest time. But A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I've had this on my TBR forever, but this book is just like, I've heard it's so sad and that it puts people in like depressions, and I just don't want to do that to myself right now because I'm really sensitive and I feel like it would really affect me. So great start. I haven't read this one. I'm gonna skip through a little bit without spoiling myself. I low-key just did, and I also haven't read this one, so let's just keep it going.
On my list are by the same author. I've read one book by her and it became one of my favorites of the year, and that is Miss Kristen Hanna. So next year I want to read Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna and The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a Netflix original series, and this was becoming a movie.
I have not read either of those books either. I wanted to really badly. Yeah, I've had both of those books in many TBRs this year and have not read either. And the book that I was referencing that I read last year that I loved was The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. Yeah, and I keep saying that I have a feeling that I'm going to read The Nightingale like 2 weeks before the movie comes out. In Firefly Lane, I had that on my Gilmoreathon TBR, but it's just so, they're such thick books, and I just haven't like felt like picking them up, I guess. But yeah, I haven't read those either, so great for me.
Have Vicious by V. Schwab.
Haven't read that one either. Oh, this is going terrible. Dang, and these are such obvious picks. Like, I have these around my room and I always want to read them. Vicious is also very, I think all of these books are just very intimidating books. Vicious mainly because I just don't really know if I'm gonna like it or not. Because V. Schwab, like, I think I've only ever read Addie LaRue, and I know it's so different from Vicious, but this book just really intimidates me because of like this, it's kind of sci-fi dark academia vibes, and I just really don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. I know it's a cool premise, but I don't know if I'm gonna like it, and I'm scared to pick it up. So I keep also procrastinating this book. It's just very intimidating books on this TBR. So haven't read this one either, and I already know what the next one is, and I haven't read it either.
Coming in at number 5 is The Kiss of Deception by
Mary E. Pearson.
I think this is probably one of the books that has been on my TBR for the longest amount of time.
This book has been on my TBR since I was probably like in high school, when this book became really popular, when I was in high school and like the height of like YA booktube. This book, yeah, has been on my TBR for a really long time. I just don't really read YA fantasy as much. I feel like I only put this book on here because I've had it for so long. That one and like The Winter's Curse, and there's a couple other like fantasy YA books that I've always wanted to read and just haven't gone around to it, but also haven't read this one. I'm nervous that I haven't read any of these books on this list, so yeah, we'll see if I've read any of these. I'm gonna try to not skip through because I keep spoiling myself, so I'm just gonna put this on 2x speed so we're not here like for too long.
Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, and this is number 6 on the list.
Skyward by Brandon
this one I really want to read because I usually don't read a lot of sci-fi.
Haven't read it either. Again, I just feel like this one is also very intimidating sci-fi type of book. I feel like I haven't read any of the books on this list. If I've read one of these books, I'm gonna be happy at this point. And also, that thing that I said at the beginning of making this my TBR for December, like, wild. I would not be able to finish any of these books. Like, if I finish one, like, that would be impressive. But this was a really ambitious TBR when I made this in 2022. Or no, in 2021 for 2022. So this year, I am planning on making a video like this again. But I will be more conscious of all of these thick books and like ambitious and intimidating type of reads, just not add them to the TBR. But yeah, haven't read Skyward either.
Gilded Wolves by Roshan.
Gilded Wolves by Roshani.
And this one's a fantasy. The reason why
Shakshi, I forgot this was, I don't know why I even added that. I think at the time I had seen a lot of people and really enjoying this, but I genuinely have no idea what this book's about. I know it's a fantasy and that my friend Isa from Rare Shine really enjoyed it. But honestly, like, all the other books kind of make sense, but this one is like very out of place for the list. I feel like it doesn't make sense that it's on there. But haven't read it either, so going great.
8 on my list is another huge ass book.
Oh, I see it. It's Priory of the Orange Tree. Why would I say that? Oh my god. I'm not reading these in December. It's not happening. Yeah, another, I feel like most of these are like historical fiction, fantasy, like big ass books. I'm not reading this in December. It's not gonna happen. Have I read any of these books on this list? Because I don't know.
Coming in at number 9, I have The Scent Keeper by Erica Bormeister. I'm sorry.
I haven't read that one either. I added this because I heard someone comparing this to like Where the Crawdads Sing, and I really liked that book in 2021. I think I read it in 2021 or 2020, Where the Crawdads Sing. And I remember someone comparing The Scent Keeper to it, so I was like, I really have to read it. But I'm noticing like a fantasy and historical fiction trend on this list. I don't know why. Maybe those are like the more intimidating books that you just want to get checked off that list. But yeah, The Scent Keeper, I forgot that I even had this, so if I hadn't watched this video, I probably wouldn't have even thought of reading that book anytime soon. So that is really interesting. that that's on there.
I have Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover.
Oh, I've read mine, Ugly Love! I know that. And this is actually one of my least favorite books of the year. Also, I am going to be filming a favorite books of the year and least favorite books of the year. Spoiler alert, Ugly Love is going to be in my least favorite books of the year. I thought it was really romanticizing emotional abuse. I was in like an emotionally abusive type of relationship back in 2018, and it's not fun, and I just hated that she wrote about it and she kind of romanticized it and also had them be in this relationship. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain without giving anything away, but I've read one of the 22 books that I wanted to read in 2022. I hope that I've read another one and I actually liked it, because Ugly Love was not it for me. So yeah, let's keep going.
About this book. Come In and Number 11 is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This is another book that's been on my TBR for way too long.
Okay, I think this was another one of those books that has been on my TBR for many years, since like the height of like YA and everything. I did read it this year. I gave it like a 3 out of 5. I liked it enough. I know that I would have given this a 5 out of 5 when it first came out and it was really hyped. At this point in time, like, I read it really recently, like maybe a couple months ago. It was okay. It was a good story. This really reminded me of like that one book called One Day by Gail Forman, and I remember really loving that book at the time, but I was also in high school. So yeah, I really wish that I had read this book in high school, but I think this ended up on my TBR. One, because Adam Silvera is a Hispanic author and there were Hispanic characters on this, but also because this is one of the books that was on my TBR for like a really long time. So yeah.
I have Orange, the complete collection, number 1. It's a manga series. I believe there's like 2 complete collection series. I don't really know.
I still haven't read that, and it's like a manga, so like it should be pretty easy to read. Again, it's a collect. I have the collection one, so it's just thick and it just looks like a lot, so I feel like I keep putting it off. But that is wild, because manga, I feel like it's so simple and easy to get through, and I haven't read this one. That is pretty crazy. How many? I think I've only read 2. I've read Ugly Love and They Both Die at the End. Let me keep count of that.
Release of 2022, and that is Family of Liars by E.
Family of Liars! Okay, so I've read 3 books. I'm a little disappointed. I gave Family of Liars like a 4 out of 5. I was a little disappointed in this book. Obviously, it's really hard because We Were Liars is like one of my favorite books of all time, and it just felt like the same formula from We Were Liars, so that's why it was a little disappointing. I did give it a 4 out of 5 because my favorite thing about We Were Liars is the writing, and the writing, like, it holds up. But I was a little disappointed, so I did end up giving Family of Liars a 4 out of 5. It was okay. I feel like out of this list of the 22 books that I've read that I wanted to read in 2022, I don't know what's coming, but I feel like I haven't read anything that became a favorite from this list. But yeah, I've read 3 so far, so we'll see what's up next.
I have The Winner's Curse. I believe the author's name is Marie Bukowski.
I did mention this earlier when the Kiss of Deception came out. I don't even own this book. I'm actually going to Half Price Books today, so maybe if I see it, I'll buy it, because it's such a old YA book that I'm sure that Half Price Books has some copies. But yeah, I feel like this one I also added, similar to The Kiss of Deception, it's just a young adult book that has been around for a really long time, and I just hadn't read it. But I also haven't been reading a lot of YA fantasy recently. I've just been reading like different things now. So yeah, I haven't read this one either, and I don't know if I will. I honestly, out of all of the books that have come up on this list, there's no books that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna read this December for sure. Like, I don't think so, but we'll see. I don't know, because I don't want to keep putting them off. And there's also no books on this list so far, except for maybe the Kristen Hannah books that I would be like, I'm adding those to my list for 2023. I don't know. So I feel like my reading tastes are just changing a lot. They've definitely changed a lot this past year in 2022. At the beginning of the year, I've read a lot more like middle grade, and then I started reading a lot more cozy mysteries, and I just feel like those were 2 genres that I never even reach for in 2021. So I feel like my reading tastes are just changing so often, or not so often, but they're just developing. And this list, it's not mainly what I read this year in 2022. And this is really cool to kind of reflect on my reading for the year.
And that is They Never Learned by Lane Fargo. This one I've heard amazing things from a lot of people's friends. Sad from Riveting Reads just put this on her favorite.
Again, I like this one. This is not a favorite of the year though. I think I gave this like a 4 out of 5. I liked it. It's just that the twist wasn't as big as I thought because I guessed it. So it was a little disappointing in that aspect, and it was a good book. I will recommend this, and also every time that I sing Vigilante Ship by Taylor Swift, this is the book that I think of. So yeah, I mean, I've read 4 out of 22 books so far. Let's see what's up next.
And that one is Saga Volume 10. This doesn't even have a cover. Listen.
Okay, cool. Love this. The end of the list is getting better. So I read 5 out of 22 books so far. Saga is one of my favorites of the year. I love this series, Saga, by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. If you haven't read Saga Volume 1, I say just give it a go. Try it out. It is like a sci-fi soap opera type of graphic novel series, and I love this series. And Volume 10 wasn't as good as like the rest of the series because the last one was just so impactful, and then we had to wait so many years. Like the last time a volume came out, I believe I was in college, and I haven't been in college for like 2.5 years, so I think a little bit longer than that. Like I think we waited for another volume for maybe 3-4 years, and it wasn't as impactful as I wish it had been because we waited for so long, and now we're gonna have to wait a whole other year for the story to continue. But yeah, Saga Volume 10, I mean, I was really that was one of my most anticipated releases for 2022. So
coming in at number 17, I have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This year, in 2021, I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I really
haven't read this. I don't even own this book. Let me write that down. I'm gonna go buy The Winter's Curse today and The Hunting Party. Yeah, I think I added this because I just read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I kept hearing about this one, and at this point in time, I think I was realizing that I really love mystery and thriller books. I mean, I had read some before this one, but I think when I read The Guest List, I found a genre or like a story that I really enjoyed because it was like an isolated setting, and it was very Agatha Christie-ish. So I think opened a new door for me, I guess. And yeah, I just really liked The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So I think that's why I really wanted to read this one at the time. But I have not read this one, but I am currently writing it down because I'm sure that at Half Price Books they have a copy of this, so I'm gonna try to buy that today.
Next up I have Circe by Madeline Miller.
Circe.
My friends know me very well, and they know whether or not I'm gonna like the book, and they told me that they don't think I'm gonna like this book, but they also told me that they didn't think I was going to like the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and that was I wanted to read already, but I'm sure that I put this on those lists back then because I just read the Song of Achilles, and I'd heard so many people tell me, like, I feel like last year and the beginning of this year, there was like a lot of people always telling me like, you're not gonna like that, you're not gonna like that, you're not gonna like that. And it kind of like, I don't know, it unmotivated me towards reading because it made me feel like I was wrong for not liking certain things, or I don't know, it was like a whole thing. But I remember reading the Song of Achilles and really loving it, and then Circe, I just really wanted to read it. And that one's a fantasy, and the main character's female. In the Song of Achilles, it was males, so I think I'm just gonna love it even more. I think it's gonna be a very subtle, inspiring, like strong female character story, and I'm excited to read it. Hopefully maybe I'll read this one in December. Project Hail Mary. Well, I don't know why I said it was number 10, but anyway, Project Hail Mary, I do remember this being on my list for 2022. I've had it for a while, and it just keeps staring at me. I don't really know when the right time. I feel like winter time is like the time that I would want to read sci-fi. I just didn't really read a lot of sci-fi last year. I think I read the Sleeping Giants series. I finished that. But yeah, I kind of knew this was on this list. I just never got around to it. Alright. Oh, okay. So next, alright, so I kind of missed the introduction for this, but the next book on the list is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Surley. And I did read this one. So far I've read 6 books on this list. And this one,
I don't remember. I think I read this when I was in LA, and again, it was a 3 out of 5. It was okay. I did have some issues with the story and our main character and a romance that was in the book. I believe I talk about my feelings in my LA vlog, so go watch that if you haven't. But yeah, I'm surprised that this was on this list though, because I don't think I was that excited about it at the time. But last two.
So, okay, last two. So I have it at number 21. Oh, yes. At number 21, I have Amari and the Great Game.
I haven't read Amari either. So at this point in time, I feel like I'm gonna have to reread Amari and the Night Brothers to be able to read this one. I'm also writing this down because I'm pretty sure that potentially Half Price Books might have a copy of Amari and the Great Game. But yeah, I think, well, I don't think. I know that I put this on this list because I read Amari and the Night Brothers last year, and that was one of the first middle grades that I'd ever read. And I really loved it. And then this year, I read a lot more middle grade, but it was different stories. And yeah, I just think it was a new genre that I never knew that I could enjoy. So I was really excited about it. And I just ended up reading a lot of other middle grade and not Amari. But honestly, I do really feel like I'm gonna have to reread Amari and the Night Brothers at this time to be able to read this one, because I don't remember that much anymore because it was so long ago. But yeah, I wonder what the last book. Let's see what the last book on my list is. Oh, Good Girl Bad Blood. Interesting. I have this one. Well, obviously you can see that I have this one, and this one's a sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I really love that book. That one was a like YA mystery book, and yeah, I really liked that one, and I wanted to read the sequel really bad. I really loved the writing. It was really addicting at the time for me. So yeah, I think that, I mean, I'm sure that's why I wanted to read it really bad, because I just read it and I was just so excited about it. But yeah, I hadn't read that one either. Okay, so out of 22 books that I said that I wanted to read in 2022, I only read 6 out of 22. It is pretty obvious that I'm not going to be able to read the rest of all of the books in this list. But I mean, I'm going to look through the list again and see what books I own and see what books I'd like to read in December. But I'm going to be specific and careful about what I want to read in December, because I am traveling. So I know I'm not going to be able to read like a historical fiction or a big fantasy novel while I'm traveling. So yeah, those were the 22 books that I wanted to read this year, and I only read 6 out of 22. I will be making a video of the 23 books that I want to read in 2023, favorite books of the year, and also my least favorite books of the year, so watch out for all of those. Honestly, I think that those are like all the videos that I have left for this year, and I have some 24-hour readathons. And lastly, I will be vlogging my travels in December, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, I truly do love all of the end of the year content, so I'm really excited to get that out for all of you and that you enjoy it. Let me know if you made a list, or if you're making a list of 23 books that you want to read next year. And yeah, I'm gonna carefully put that together soon and put it out for you guys. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!